Okay, we've come to the doom and gloom part of the show. It's time to talk about the global recession and the end of the world and the possible issues going on. And I'll let you take on this part of the show, Patrick, because this is more your game than mine. And also, you might as well throw in that my pukey emoji again, because we're going to bring in government debt here. So definitely puke emoji warranted on that. Okay, over to you, Patrick.
Well, it's at the end of the day, it's having an awareness of what's really going on at a macro level. We can't think that we're not going to be at the effect of what's happening in a global macro scale right now. I mean, Putin arguably has his finger on the button, and if he pushes the button and takes on whoever they decide they're going to take on beyond Ukraine, because now the US is getting involved, Taiwan and China, or China is going to take on Taiwan. But at the end of the day, we're seeing this global picture of what's happening. We got meltdowns in Europe, we've got meltdowns in the UK, and money is flowing back and forth. And so there's a high risk, because all of the countries, by the way, every single one of them, their central banks have done nothing but kind of print cash, and now they're starting to pay the price. So there's a large risk, for example, of what's happening over on the other side of the pond, if you will. And there's some, I guess, concerns, if you will, about somebody defaulting on, bonds and what they, because the debts are high and interest rates are going, and the US dollar's getting stronger against those currencies. These are all things that have a ripple effect. Now, will it affect us tomorrow? No. But can it affect us into the future? Yeah. And that's why we want to pay somewhat of attention to what's going on in that regard, because it will impact us, and it'll impact us economically. And, right now it looks like oil has dropped and everybody's going, okay, yeah, so prices are easing. I am here to say and believe 100% that we can see oil prices be very volatile, but at the end of the day, oil is going to continue to go up given what's happening in the world today. And it's going to drive prices up, which is going to drive oil prices up, which is going to drive transportation choices. It's going to drive transportation prices up. It's going to drive the cost of goods up. And as much as we think inflation is going to be cured by interest rates, it's not.
So that was a mouthful, Patrick.
I know. So let me go. Let me just.
What do you want to dig into? Do you want to dig into something?
Well, I just want to say this, is that when we look at what's happening, we would be remiss not to bring in a global picture of the potentiality of, an economic hit caused by something outside of what's happening in our world. I think Canada is pretty bulletproof. I don't think that we're going to, the fact it remains is that we are a commodity driven country. And if we can get our prime minister out of our way and actually kind of maximize our potential on commodities, then we have an opportunity to be big exporters in the commodity world. And so economically, Canada stands, is in a good position. But having said that, we also have sovereign debt or national debt that is over 70%. It's like 71% of our GDP. That's like the red zone of, the possibility. Now, Canada's not going to default, and we're not worried about that, but that number is getting high. And as interest rates go up and the threat of interest rates go up, we have to ask ourselves, what happens? Because of course we have a government that has to repay debt at a higher interest rate. If unemployment goes up here in Canada, for example, guess what? We have fewer tax dollars flowing to pay that debt. So it can get all very convoluted and complicated, but there's risk in all of that. Now, that's not to say anything other than make sure that you're investing in a region with long-term strong economic fundamentals. Look at where rents are going, look at immigration numbers, watch that unemployment number, because as long as we got people working, we'll be fine.
Cool. I like it. So you haven't heard anything new that changes the narrative on real estate yet? I'm going to ask you this question all the time because it's what I got to get anchored in.
I'm not hearing anything new other than be very regional in your thought processes. We continue to look at what's happening out west with oil, with agriculture, with commodities overall in Canada and the East Coast. Be cautious about the East Coast, but I'm still very optimistic about real estate. I don't think we're going to see a huge amount of appreciation, that's for darn sure. But if you've got a long-term picture, I think Canada is a great place in specific regions to invest in real estate for cash flow, for long-term growth. Appreciation marginal perhaps over the next few years, but you've always got that principal buy down and you've got cash flow.